So Paula, you're getting the table ready to set.
Right, and there's nothing that drives me crazier after doing 1,000 weddings in my floral business and watching these fancy hotels put these wrinkled tablecloths on.
It's bad.
Made me crazy.
So you're just using a barely warm iron,
Right,
doing the last minute
right.
touch up.
And I can still touch up after
That's what we
everything's
do.
on. Just have to get it right. So.
So we're going to be set up for 8, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me get the chargers.
And we've centered the table to the mantelpiece. That is our center. And it should be perfectly centered under the chandelier. So you've got some nice festive chargers.
These are old crate and barrel chargers that I don't like plastic. These are kind of something different than that.
Maybe a styrene of some
Yeah,
kind.
some kind.
Yeah,
But I'm just going to put them on, and Michael, you can straighten them out.
I will.
I know you will. I'm counting
All right,
on you.
all right. I will.
Let's see. Oh, there's 3 across. Okay.
3
I was
across.
thinking 4.
You're making
but
me
it's
nervous.
3, yes. 3 across. Okay.
I don't like clanking plates.
No.
The nice thing about using the chargers is you will never have clanking plates because they're so much bigger than an actual serving plate.
What did we do here? I think we do need to get our ruler.
I will. Mhm.
Okay.
I'll get the ruler to make sure it's all in alignment.
We need the butler from Downton Abbey. I can't remember his name, but
I forget. They'll tell us.
Mr. something. I don't want the chair leg to hit the dining room table leg.
Sometimes that's unavoidable.
Yeah, but I
you know,
think that's
usually
just about right.
A lady usually goes in that spot.
But I only have 6 dining room chairs. This is not normally as big as I have it, so I put a leaf in, and so I have to use some smaller chairs, which are a little more delicate, and the ladies have to sit in those.
We'll have to figure out where they're going to sit.
Yes, I'll let them know. So,
So we don't want chair gate.
now, and then we're gonna do plates. These are clanky plates. These are my Haviland Limoges Violet.
Oh, now I
Plates.
understand. I wasn't quite understanding the burgundy runner, but now that you put those down, it makes sense.
Yeah, it kind of all goes. I
They're
like to
beautiful.
layer everything.
Yeah.
So let's see, we need 4 more.
I know that
Well,
we
plating.
won't do this at the party, but it is, I think, for a lot of people that would be interested in the set. It's a beautiful
It's
set.
Probably late 19th century, right around turn of the century. There are a million patterns of Limoges. And
Do we know what the name of this set is?
I think this is Violetta.
Violetta.
Yeah.
And there's no right way to put it. It could be, there's no top or bottom of the
No,
plate. So
no.
we're going to put them out random.
Right.
And the chargers are actually really good with these plates.
Right, because in Victorian times, plates were not huge. There were many courses, but now people have these giant plates because we have giant people.
And giant chairs and giant
Yes.
sofas and giant
For
everything.
giant people.
So Paula, I see that you do something different than we do. You put your silver in a plastic baggie.
Yes, all the different forks and knives are all in different plastic baggies. And in the plastic baggies, there's a piece of chalk.
Just a regular chalk?
Just a regular piece of chalk.
And,
I have not used this since before COVID, so it's been 3 years since these have been
and
out of the plastic
yeah,
bag.
they look
They're
like
perfect.
you polished them today.
So this, if you need to keep your silver from tarnishing, especially here in the South.
Does it seem to tarnish more?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I use.
Wow, that's a great little tip.
Yeah, and I just learned that lately, so.
So basically, after we use this, we wash it in soap and water, and then we put it back in dry it and put it back in there, and you won't have to polish it again.
Dry it good, yes.
So Paula's got the table pretty much set, and the one question I have for you is, we're not gonna have butter. Look at that. We knew it was gonna happen.
Tallulah.
Tallulah.
She's looking for her morning coffee, and it's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
What are you doing?
She's gotta check it out, make sure everything's in line.
Yeah, I'll have to dust everything now. Well, it could be bulldogs on the tables if it were at our
That's
house.
probably happened before.
Yeah. So we've got these butter pats, but we're not having bread and butter. So what are we using these for?
This time of year in Savannah, there are all these beautiful pink and white camellias blooming in the medium of the street on my big wide street. And I'm just going to go out there and do a little harvesting and pick 8 beautiful white camellias. And I don't like a lot of flowers on the table because you can't really see over and talk, and they're in the way when you're serving. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to also just, for when they come in, there'll be some little bunches of red carnations. And
we could easily move those.
And they're easily moved, but they're very festive. And
they don't have a smell, which is
right,
kind of nice.
a little bit.
A little bit, but
you know,
doesn't interfere with food.
Yeah, so we'll fix that later, but that's the plan. I like to set my table the night before or early in the morning before the dinner that night.
I do too.
That's the first step of my dinner. And if that's done, there's no more stress for me. It's just
the rest happens.
Because then it gets me in the mood, and that's what I like to do.
So we have, you're using, pretty much everything is antique, and you've got the nice antique glassware. So we're gonna have champagne to start and then white wine. But we're not gonna serve the champagne when the people come in. I mean, they'll have it when they sit down, because they're gonna wanna look at your house and all your decorations. So we want them to, not walk around with champagne necessarily.
So either white wine or water, depending on what somebody wants. And I think we're pretty much set. I want to always make sure that I have the dishes ready for the things that we're going to serve, and that the spoon or fork or whatever is right next to it, so I don't have to run around.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And we are not putting, we're going to have coffee, offer that, but we're not going to put it on the table. But we've got the cups ready so that we're again not doing the hustle.
Everything's ready. So now we can start cooking.
And then I'm going to work on polishing you've got lots of figural napkin ring holders. So I'll do that.
And they did not pass muster with Michael, so he's going to...
I complained about it, so I have to do it.
But actually, I really left him that way so he'd do it, because I got sick of polishing silver.
Well, I'll do it.
But one tip for silver, which we didn't say...
I think we did.
But did you get that?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, well, all right.
Yeah. No, well, maybe tell him again.
Well...
Because I can't remember if we...
The last time I used the silver was before COVID. So I just pulled it out of the plastic bags that I keep it in with a piece of chalk. And these pieces look like they were polished this morning, but they've been sitting here for 2.5 years.
I'm gonna use that technique myself.
And the South is pretty rough on things to need polishing, so that's a good
Well,
tip.
it's looking very pretty, and
It's coming
we
along.
might have to get ready for the fact that there might be more flowers coming. So we'll try to think about where those could go. And then, so we're gonna we just have the napkin rings to put on the table, and that's it, isn't
And the
it?
napkins.
And the
yeah.
napkins.
Mhm. And the camellias when I get ready to go out.
Yeah, and you'll do those last
Last.
minute?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, it's looking beautiful.
Okay,
We'll be
ready.
back. Well, Paula, we've got the tables all set.
It's getting there.
It's getting there. We've lit the candles so they can burn down into the domes. That's not what they're called. Hurricanes, aren't they?
Hurricanes.
Hurricanes. We're gonna let those burn down. And we've got all of our figural napkin rings of Paula's collection. And each guest is gonna have an identity. Some people will be a cat, and some people will be the chairperson. Some people will be a turtle, sea captain. But I think this looks really beautiful. And the guests of honor get gifts, which they're getting the book Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, signed by the author, which is really special. And then tell us about the crackers that you put down.
I've never found any crackers that I liked what was in them. I don't think people really like to read silly little jokes and wear paper hats.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. You have to have a lot of alcohol. But these are just some special chocolates. You can buy these crackers in England, and one end is open, and then you can put whatever you want. You can put a diamond ring. You can put whatever you want. So
they're going to get
they're fun to do, and they're just little special chocolates.
And I love what you've done with the butter pats is you've put these beautiful, they're tiny. This is not what we normally
Well,
see.
there's all different varieties of camellias, but this is what I have right now, and that fits well in those. And since we're not having bread with butter, I'd love to use them.
Yeah, they're so darling.
Yeah. And I've included a couple of swans. I have, swans all over in my Christmas decorations.
Which these are lovely.
These are special. They're celluloid swans, and they were actually some kind of arcade game. And now they're on the Christmas table.
Well, I think they look wonderful, and they've got little star crowns on their little heads. So that makes it fun, but yet we've got room. When these tureens go back, there'll be plenty of space to put down the plates and whatnot. And we've decided we're going to do the champagne when people come in, so we've taken those off the table. But you've got the house looking all lovely and all your mood lighting, so it's really very festive. I'm going to take you through and just show you how it looks when it's all lovely for a nice evening of good friends. We've still got to light the Christmas tree, but I don't know how to do that. So when Paula comes back, she'll get that lit. But we're pretty much ready. And I know David is in the kitchen, and he's been working all day, getting things ready. Maybe we'll go in there and see what he's up to. Okay, so David, what have you been up to? Tell our people what. So what is this?
Miss Paula and I have been in the kitchen for a few hours.
Okay.
We're creating a Christmas dinner for special guests and ourselves, of course. And do I need to tell you what the menu is?
Yes,
We're
sure,
having. Okay,
sure,
we're starting with crab cheesecake,
And I've seen it, it looks,
a savory cheesecake that is signature dish of the Palace Cafe in New Orleans, Louisiana. They're very generous to give you the recipe if you ask for it, if you go there. So we've made it before, but it's fresh out of the oven, and now I have to make the sauce that goes on top.
and that's the trickiest part.
That's the tricky part. It's like butter based, and you're like on the edge of your seat until it's done because it could break, and then we just don't serve it with sauce.
Yes, but it will.
And then we're having pecan crusted chicken.
And I can see they're ready to go in the
Yeah,
oven.
they're pecan with Dijon and egg, and then it's served with a Dijon cream sauce, like
Which is-
basically delicious sour cream and Dijon mustard dollop of that you actually place the breasts on. We're having oven roasted potatoes with rosemary, green beans with bacon and onion and thyme, and sherry carrots with dried cranberries. And Paula has created a spectacular chocolate mousse with Toblerone, how do you say it? Toblerone?
Yes.
Chocolate bars from Switzerland.
And they're gonna see how to make those.
Yeah, they're gonna see how to make everything. I think, yeah, we're gonna
Show it all.
We're gonna show it all. Got the chicken ready, it's gonna go in the oven, the potatoes are going in the oven, the crab cheesecake is
Oh, and let's see
here.
that.
It has
So
a pecan crust. And then you serve this like warm with a warm sauce of lemon, hot sauce,
Oh, and it
cream,
smells
butter,
so good.
like 3 pounds of butter.
Yeah, well,
And it's delicious. Lemon, Bernier basically, I guess that's how you would describe
I'm
it.
looking forward
Yeah,
to it.
I think it's gonna be a
so we basically though this dinner, even though it's not an easy dinner to do, most of it is all done in advance.
Mhm.
Good part of it.
Mhm. Except for the sauce, which you kind of have to do at the last
Yeah.
minute. The
Well,
sauce for
that's-
the
and-
cheesecake.
And that kind of helps, I think, with the guests realize that there's labor involved and this is made with
Right.
love.
I mean, like any meal that's complex, you have to figure out how much oven space you have. So we were going to do these wonderful au gratin potatoes, but we don't have enough oven space, so that's why we're. Oh no, we were going to do
it's temperature, wasn't it? More
something. They didn't. Yeah, they didn't cook at the same temperatures, and we
Yeah.
need it for the chicken,
Well,
which I
and-
used to cook on the stovetop, but it gets. I'm going to try it in the oven this time. I think it's going to be
Okay.
better.
Well, and if it doesn't work, then we will give them the other alternate way to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
I'm gonna cook this identical. We did not actually film this here except for the dessert, the preparation. I'm gonna cook this exact meal
At home.
at home
Yeah.
when we get back, because it's not really a bad thing to do. It's
No.
delicious for
No,
the most part. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna film it at home in a kitchen that I'm used to
Right.
also. But mainly it's just the time today. It takes a lot of time to do the filming and the cooking, and we have people coming, special guests coming that you will meet.
All right. Well, I can't wait.
Great.
We'll see you later.
Okay, back to the sauce. Hello, doll friends. This is David Robinson. We have Michael behind the camera, which is unusual. Normally he's on this side, and I'm occasionally on that side. But he told me years ago that if he was going to do the cooking, then I would have to clean up and eat bad food. So this is how this
It's
works.
true.
This is how this works. So I do the cooking, and then I just go sit down and relax afterwards. If you've been following along with the World Doll Day Celebration Christmas event, you undoubtedly have been introduced to Miss Paula, a dear friend of ours for decades now, who has relocated to Savannah, Georgia from the Monterey Peninsula, where we are now. We're in our kitchen at home. One of the reasons for our trip there recently was to do some filming of her many, many, many collections for your pleasure, but also to cook Christmas dinner, because we haven't had a Christmas dinner together for 14 or 15 years since she and her husband moved. So while we were there, we did have a dinner party for 8 people, including guests who flew,
Honored guests.
honored guests who flew from Southern California just to have dinner with us. One was our benefactress, Sharon Barton Maggio, and her very accommodating, great guy husband, John. And we were also treated to the company of Sharon's daughter, Stephanie, and her husband, Henry. And we had an absolutely lovely time. But when we started the dinner preparation, we soon realized that we couldn't do filming and cook dinner for 8 people efficiently in one afternoon. So we created our lovely dinner there, enjoyed it, but I'm going to recreate now the dinner we had there. So,
And you're in your own domain.
right, I know where everything is exactly. So I may not have everything I need, but we'll work it out. Our menu is a little bit of a nod to the South. Paula actually selected what she wanted to serve. So things that we had cooked together before when she was here. The main dish is pecan crusted chicken breast with a Dijon cream sauce. And we're serving that with roasted potatoes, oven roasted red potatoes with rosemary and olive oil. We're also serving sherried carrots, a sweet, sticky kind of glazed covered carrot. Also green beans with onion and bacon. We're starting with something very unique. We've had it several times. We got hooked on it years ago when we were in New Orleans for 5 or 6 days, and we ate at this one restaurant 3 or 4 times out of the days we were there, the Palace Cafe, part of the Brennan family of restaurants. They served, I assume they still do, something called crab cheesecake. It's a savory cheesecake with a pecan crust, and it's just a little slice of heaven. It's with a Meunier sauce, and it's just rich and delicious. So we're going to make that as a starter. The restaurant graciously will give you the recipe if you ask for it. If you're sitting there in their dining room and you like it, they will give it to you, or they did years ago. We haven't been in several years now. So we were fortunate to get the recipe. We were fortunate to get the recipe from them. We've cut it down a little bit because we're serving a small group tonight.
Yeah, it's a starter. It's
It's
not
a starter, and a little dab will do you. It's delicious and rich, as I said.
And it sounds strange, but it's.
And what we're
to
serving
die.
with the chicken, which we're going to start with first, is something you can do ahead.
So we're going to do the head things first.
The ahead is, I love, Christmas or Thanksgiving is not complete without cranberry sauce of some sort. So what we're making is a cranberry relish. It's just a little something that works well with the chicken, to my palate. So that's what we're going to start with. And we're making a full batch because it keeps for a while in the
you can use
refrigerator.
it for lots of things.
Right, yeah, it works with anything chicken or fowl or pork or whatever. So what we have, we'll just get started. We have a pound of cranberries, fresh cranberries, and these are straight from Wisconsin. Our good friend and doll collector, Nancy Wolf, sends
those.
these to us.
Right from the bog.
Right. I don't know if you know, but Wisconsin is a huge cranberry producer, which I didn't know until she sent us like 50 pounds of them one year and since. And we use them. I have searched lots of cranberry recipes out because I love them and they're good for you. And we have some.
And they're antioxidant.
Yes. So what we have is a pound of cranberries. There is no recipe really, but when I have seen things, it calls for much more sugar than I prefer. So
We don't like it. I don't like it too sweet.
no.
Sweet.
So what we have is about a cup and a half of sugar, a cup of just good old water. You can add other things like Grand Marnier if you wanted to put some of that in, or even orange juice since we're doing an orange base. But I'm sticking just to the water. We're going to add the zest of this orange, and that will cook in it. And then after this is zested, I'm going to clean the white off and I'm going to chop the inside, and that will go in after it's cooked. So what
To
we're
give
going to
it
do,
a little extra flavor and
well, it
texture.
just stays together, and it has a nice, you don't need to cook it, it has a delicious, you could make a relish out of this alone. But that's what we're doing. So I'm going to take a minute, zest this orange. I'll go ahead and slice it. We'll get this on the stove, and then we'll explain later how long you should let it cook. So we're just about through this orange. I have a zester here in the drawer, but this good old box grater just really makes short order out of this. So, and I'm not going to measure. I think the official recipe calls for about 2 tablespoons, but I like orange, so
Well, that, I would say that's probably 2
Yeah,
tablespoons.
probably is. So there we have it.
It smells beautiful.
Beautiful, gorgeous orange zest. So we're going to put that right in, and we'll get this on the stove, and I'll explain how long we're going to let this go. So basically, we just put this on the stove. It's going to come to a really nice simmer
So
eventually.
you have like a medium heat, is that what you do?
Yeah, it's going to actually boil. So we'll just leave that, and you'll know when to take it off when you hear the last, like popcorn almost, when the last of the cranberries have popped.
Really? Does it sound like popcorn?
No, it's like you don't. Remember how the
Oh.
popcorn slows down? Like,
yeah.
With the last couple pops, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
over. So you can
Well,
turn it off at that
I'm
point.
new to this cooking
Okay,
thing.
so yeah, you just let this basically heat up. It's going to boil. The cranberries will pop. They'll.
You mean
become-
open? Is
Well, they pop. I mean, they actually
Oh,
pop
okay.
open. Yes, they
Okay.
pop open.
okay.
You'll hear
That's-
them pop when you're cooking it. And then I'm going to go ahead and slice up that orange. So once this is,
Then you have
relish.
You're kind of pretty much ready, aren't
and
you?
then it's just you let it sit and it'll thicken up. So I'm not going to think about peeling this thing.
No,
This is much cleaner. It's going to, it'll look better if it's not filled with the pith. But in time, the pith will stain the beautiful red color anyway. But
Yes.
still, it looks nicer and cleaner if you just clean all the white off. So we're going to do it just like this till we get down to
One thing
the
I know
orange.
about you is you have nice sharp knives.
Actually, this is fairly sharp. It could use a couple of passes on the metal thing.
Well, I know you scare our volunteers with your sharp knives.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I've been accused by Judy Lloyd of a very strange way of chopping apples for the apple cake, but I consider it efficient. One person's strange is another person's efficient.
Well, when Judy Lloyd has made a few thousand meals for people, then she can tell us.
Yes.
Love
But
you, Judy.
Hey, I'm open for tips.
I
You know,
love you, Judy.
because I have never had a lesson. I just cook so I don't have to clean. That's it.
but
and somebody has
that's
to do
not
it.
totally fair.
I have never had a
I know,
lesson.
but you've watched thousands of meals be made
Well, in
the
restaurant
industry.
business,
Yeah.
yes. When you work in a restaurant, you do.
You pick up a few tips.
You do. In fact, I have stolen several ideas or borrowed them from restaurants where I have worked in the past.
What did Picasso?
Now I just
What did
sell
Picasso
dolls so I don't
say?
ever have to work in the restaurant again.
What did Picasso say?
Great artists, mediocre artists copy. Great artists steal.
Yes, there you go.
So I guess you could call me a thief. So we're just going to roughly chop this. And then this is going to go right in the relish when it's off the stove. Then we're just going to let it cool down a little bit.
Are these seedless?
Yeah,
ones?
this is a
Okay.
navel orange. No seeds in this case.
Yeah, because we don't want to have someone choking on a seed.
Or I don't want to have to fish them out.
Well, that would be you or me and
Yeah.
our guests today.
So,
Well, it smells delightful.
so that's what is going in the relish once it's relish.
Once those puppies pop, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, great. So we'll be back when it's time to put this in, and then we'll just let it sit and cool. Then you'll see how beautiful it is when it's combined. Okay, here you can see we have got a little nice, strong simmer, practically a boil on these. And we've been hearing them pop here.
There's
It's
one.
soft. I mean, you can hear them.
Yeah, but you see, it's a definite
They
pop.
pop.
I did not know that. You've been keeping this information.
Yeah, I know, it's top secret, but now the word's out. So we're just gonna let this go. We'll just
So you don't put any thickener of any kind?
No. I don't know what it is, a natural pectin or something maybe. I'm no chemist, but they just thicken on their own. I mean, they're not like gelatin, but they do.
Oh yeah, it's a lovely
relish.
consistency.
Yeah, so we just let this go until basically they're all they've all opened. Here's some, see? So we'll just let it go for probably another, probably 5 minutes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's great.
It's
And
very
also about the
festive colors.
sugar. Our thing, I don't love sweet, so, but you can add sugar to it if it's not afterwards, after it's cooked.
Well, I like the kind of a little slightly tartness to
I
it.
do too, but if you want it a little sweeter after you taste it,
Well, you used a cup and a half.
I
Then you
used a
just
little
put-
over a cup and a half. It
They
calls
put-
for 2, so
yeah.
you can just add more.
Yeah.
But right
Some-
away,
some people
right
do have
before
a-
it cools
Yeah,
down.
some people have a sweet tooth.
Right. So but if you want to add more sugar, do it right away, or you could add something else like Grand Marnier or whatever.
And don't you think, David, for entertaining, this is simple, but it gives you some bragging rights because you made it yourself. It's not from a can.
Right. Right. I think so. And I think perhaps cranberries are one of those things that aren't. Maybe it's not everybody loves, but so it's just a little something to pass with a chicken
Yeah,
or
they can
pork
take
dish.
it or not.
Right, and so it's
So now they're really starting to.
coming along.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we just have a
It
few that
smells
are
out of this world.
whole. So okay, when this is finished, we'll just throw in the orange. I'll show you putting it into a different bowl if you like, and then it's ready to just sit. So here we have our relish. Don't expect every last cranberry to pop. It's not required. It's cooked and it will probably deflate in time. So we just pour this into a bowl like so. Eventually, when it's cooled down and when you're ready to serve, you'll put it in something attractive.
Well, I have 2 choices out for that.
Okay.
That is
But this is just
that's
so it
my
can cool.
contribution.
Okay, thank you. Then we're just gonna stir in this orange.
And you put it in hot.
Yes, I should probably chop that one big hunk. Doesn't need to hang out. There we go. And so you use basically the whole orange, except for the white part. And you just give it a stir,
Oh, that looks really good.
incorporate it.
And this is great on turkey sandwiches afterwards.
Yeah.
After.
And you could take a few minutes to crush the orange in there if you wanted, but
I like the texture.
I think it's kind of nice when you're eating the relish and you get a nice big chunk of fresh orange. So that's it. So that is our relish. It's still steaming. Let it just sit uncovered for a little while anywhere. And then once it cools down, cover it with plastic wrap and then refrigerate it. But that's it. As it cools, it will thicken as well. So first step. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the crust for our pecan cheesecake. So we'll get that going because that has to pre-bake before you put the filling in.
All right, we'll be back.
Welcome back. The first step in preparing our savory crab cheesecake is making the pecan crust. The recipe calls for 3/4 of a cup of pecans. We're going to use a food processor to basically create a nutty flour. 1 cup of, a nutty flour that we're going to use to create the crust, and then like a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which is about that much. And then we grind this until it's fine, quote unquote. Just looking at some of the stubborn pieces of nuts. Because it's flour, we just don't want to make butter out of this. I think that's fine. That looks good. Yes, I think that'll work. Here you can see the consistency. So you can see the bits of nut in there, which is going to add
pepper in it.
you know, like delicious flavor. So we're just going to put this in a bowl. And then we're going to add butter, which I still need to cut into cubes. And then at the end, ice water. And then we're going to do my favorite part, rolling it out. Okay, so we'll be back after I've gotten the butter ready. So we've got our 5 tablespoons of salted butter cut into little pieces. We're going to just toss that into the ground pecans and flour. And this is why I'm not a baker, because it says use 2 knives to cut these things in, or I guess you could use a pastry blender, but I don't have patience. That's my problem. I want instant crust.
Well, most people are like you.
Yeah, so I'm just using a fork. And when they get to be, when crumbs, also I guess it's probably easier if you cut the butter as small as possible. But yeah, I mean, I've done the 2 knife thing before, and it's like, I think I'm just not very coordinated. But, and I also just realized, I don't think I mentioned dessert for our menu, which I think I'm going to make. Paula made it, and actually there's video.
Yes, that's
Paula
done.
doing it. Yeah, she made a wonderful chocolate mousse using Toblerone chocolate. So that was Paula's
And
contribution.
that you do like this, you do it in advance, right?
Right, yeah. Well, I haven't done it, but because Paula already made it, and so we don't really need to have it, filmed again, because we already have that. She did that the day before, I think, the party. That's why it got done. But so we're getting there. So when I get to the point where this is peas, we'll be back, and we're going to just throw in the ice water. I think it's 3 tablespoons of ice water, and then we'll make a crust out of this. Well, an hour has passed, and I think we have peas, kind of.
Yeah, you do.
Kind of. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get our ice water in there, and we're going to, oh, by the way, we preheated the oven to 350 degrees, so it's 3 tablespoons of ice water, which is what we have here.
I thought that was for me, that water, but I guess it's for the...
No, this is just water.
Okay.
We have more, if you would
Okay.
like some. And it's raining right now as we speak.
Well, this is a wonderful
So
dish
I'm gonna-
for... Now, you've washed your hands, good.
Of course I have. Like 50 million times when I'm cooking. I get dishpan hands. All right, so we're gonna...
You've already got a nice crust.
Yeah,
It kinda happens
actually
fast,
you
doesn't
don't. You don't actually roll this. Paula did, because she actually, because I whined, she made the crust for this when we were there, because I don't like baking necessarily. So we have this crust.
You say that, but you're a very good baker.
Things that don't require a crust, I'm fine. I just don't love
Well, that's
the physical part of baking, so I'm just the other thing we're gonna do that I have not done normally, when they serve this to you in New Orleans, it doesn't look exactly like it does.
This is homemade.
They're making, it looks like a beautiful slice of cheesecake. This is more like a little quiche from a pie pan, but I'm not gonna use a pie pan this time. I'm gonna use a springform pan, and it's easier to get out. So we're gonna see, I've never done it before, so
Hopefully it'll work.
if you continue to see it in a springform pan, you'll know that it worked. So, okay, so we'll be back I'm gonna pull this out and plop it in that, and we're gonna bake it in the oven for 20 minutes. So we have our springform pan here. If you don't have one, as I said, you can use a regular pie plate, glass, metal, whatever. I think the recipe says tart pan. I don't have one because I'm not a baker.
Yeah, you love to bake.
I'm not a baker. So, but I can tell you, I'm not going to take this high up on the sides because I've made this before and it doesn't, go up that high. It might go up an inch. So we're just gonna work at this, trying to make it as smooth as possible. I did use a little baking spray on the bottom. So we're just going to,
But a tart pan would be beautiful, wouldn't it?
yeah, I should probably invest in one. But
Well, I
I'm
know
just
you, if you do a tart pan, then there'll be a lot of tarts being made around.
well, I don't really need tarts.
Well,
I
it
should
has
have
nothing
just
to
the
do.
fruit with no tart. Yeah, carbs are not my friend, but I love them. What's that saying? Man cannot live on bread alone. Is that the saying?
Yes.
I could. Well, as long as I had some butter and garlic to go with it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal some from here and go over where it's a little lower and just see if we can't make this into a tart pan. And hopefully, when the time comes to
Well, we want it to look homemade. We don't
unmold
want it
it.
to look like it came from a.
Right. Oh, it will look
box store.
homemade. Yeah, I think it will. So we're going to just continue like this, making it rustic. It's going to be our rustic savory crab cheesecake. So hopefully we'll have a good result. So as I said, the next step is 20 minutes cooking the crust in the oven. We'll pull that out and then we'll start the filling while it's cooking, baking. This is baking. The next step, I can tell you, the first step in the filling is to saute some onion, finely chopped onion and butter. So we're gonna get going on that. I think that's fine.
I think that looks
pretty
really
even.
good.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I'm used to making dresses, but this is pretty good.
Well, we don't eat your dresses.
Well, some people do.
I guess you do with your eyes. Okay. All right. It's rustic. Okay. That's what we
wonderful.
got. All right.
Okay.
We're going to pop it in the oven. Here we're finely dicing our half of a small to medium onion. And this is going to go in the filling for the cheesecake. So we're going to get it nice and fine. And then we just cook this in a little bit, maybe 2 tablespoons, something like that, of butter until it's translucent. And it'll be delicious.
What kind of onion
This is just a regular old yellow onion, or you could use a sweet
get these
onion.
anywhere?
Oh yeah, just a regular old onion with a brown papery skin on the outside. Okay. I'm not bothered by onions. A lot of people would be.
Well, you're also wearing glasses, so that helps.
Yeah, but even when I'm, when I make French onion soup and you slice like 8 giant onions, I'm still fortunately not bothered. So we're gonna get this going, and I'm just doing it in a little saute pan because that was easy to grab. It'll just take a few minutes to cook. Okay. So the butter hasn't melted yet, but yeah, you don't want to caramelize it. You just want them
Well, you don't
to
want
cook.
You don't want to burn them either, because
No, you just want them to become translucent.
then they become bitter. Because they're going to get cooked more.
Right, they go in the filling.
Yeah.
So next we're going to get all of our filling ingredients together. I'm waiting on the cream cheese to soften a little more. I've had it out a while, but I think it's just about ready to go. Yeah, we just can't rush things. So we'll just let that.
Well, the
melt.
nice thing about this is you could make it, and I think that this itself could just be a meal. I mean, a fabulous
It
luncheon
could if
meal.
you.
And you
Yeah.
do the work and you do it the
You
night
could
before.
with a green salad, and you could add to the sauce. Maybe you could actually throw some grilled shrimp on it, and on the side, keeping in the seafood theme. It could be fun. It's delicious, actually. So we'll just let that melt, and then we'll get it. It'll be our first ingredient in the filling.
And is this one of the first things that they have to cook?
Well, it's the first thing we have to do to get
Okay.
in the filling.
All
And then
right.
it's cream cheese and eggs, and
Wonderful.
just like a cheesecake, but with crab. So now we add the crab. The recipe calls for 4 ounces of just regular old blue crab or crab. Any kind of crab.
Any kind of crab?
Yeah, I guess. And you
Dungeness
don't even have
crab.
to use crab. You could use probably shrimp if you wanted to make a savory shrimp cheesecake. But you're just putting this in to heat it through, so it's not, cold.
Because the crab is already cooked.
Yes, it's from the refrigerated section. We have a seafood market here in Monterey, but I didn't get over there today, so I just picked it up. It's just,
And it's
You know-
very fresh.
yes, it smells great. It's just,
It might even be fresher than what you get at the
it
market.
might be. So there we go. That's our crab and onion.
Looks like scrambled eggs.
Well, very pale ones. So we just want that to heat through, turn off the heat, and just let it sit. And then we're going to go on to the creamy parts of the cheesecake. We're ready to get the filling together. What I have in the bowl here is 8 ounces of cream cheese, good old Philadelphia, mixed with, oh, sorry, Michael, I'm
That's all
getting
right.
on you. Mixed with
You've
about
wanted
a
to do that all day.
third, I have a spoon. Mixed with about a third of a cup of sour cream. So we're just gonna mix this till it's smoothish. You could do this in the Cuisinart mixer thing with a
So it's not that
paddle,
much.
but it's just something else to wash. Something else for Michael to wash. So
Yeah.
I'm being a nice guy. So we're gonna get
I
this
never
smooth.
complain about that,
No,
George.
you don't. So
It's the
we
beautiful.
are getting there.
Good enough to eat.
All right, so we're getting there, and we're gonna add 2 eggs, one at a time. I think that's good. Use a spoon. Otherwise, if you use a whisk, you'll get air in it,
Yeah.
and we
want
don't
that.
need that. We want it. It's gonna.
You want
the
kind
eggs
of a
will bring-
dense.
Right, the eggs will bring it. We'll give it the right consistency in the oven, and we have 2 minutes left on our crust.
Well, you better get snapping.
I better get with it. So we'll get these mixed in one at a time, and then we'll be back. So why don't we just come back once the eggs are in, then we'll season it and pour it into our filling, which will be finished at that time. Okay, so we have our eggs in, pretty smooth here. So we're gonna add our crab and onion mixture right here. Put that in.
It's fabulous already.
Well, thank you. Okay. All right, there's that. And then it calls for a little salt to taste. I'm gonna go light.
There's a lot of salt in the onions. And
There's a lot of
seafood.
salt in the sauce that we're gonna
Yeah.
put on top. So I'm gonna do that much,
So what's that? At?
maybe half a teaspoon.
That's just, I think.
I think that's enough. Then some white pepper. So maybe
How
that
much would you say that is?
quarter to a half, maybe, which is probably more than I should have put in, but we'll find out.
We'll find out.
And then just a dash of hot sauce. They recommend Crystal, which is a good Louisiana
Hold on, let me show
hot
them the label.
sauce.
Okay, yeah,
Get it
that's from
anywhere.
Louisiana.
Yep, so a dash-ish of that. There's more of that in the sauce that goes on top.
Yeah,
so
don't over.
yeah, don't go crazy because you'll get your
Now I'm starting to see some New Orleans.
yeah, and then you'll get some heat in the sauce. It's very subtle. Trust me, it's not overpowering at all. So I think we have a cheesecake in the works.
Okay, it looks great.
So our filling's out. And now we're gonna pop it in to the crust, pop it in the oven, 300 degrees for about a half hour. We're going into the oven. So you can see the filling went in and it was just, I made the sides just high enough. So I had probably about 1.5 inches of height on the side.
Because this doesn't rise, does it?
No, it becomes just very slightly golden. If it, hopefully. It's going in a 300 degree oven for about, 30 minutes, I think, but I'll double check. Let me look real fast here. 20 minutes.
20 minutes, okay.
Oh no, 30 minutes.
30 minutes,
The crust is 20 minutes, filling is 30 minutes, 300 degree oven. I'll look at it at about 25 minutes in, and if it isn't,
Because every temperature of oven.
well, no, if it isn't golden, I put it on, we have a convection oven. So you just put it on convection for a few minutes, and it'll give you a beautiful golden color on top.
Which is important.
To me. It's
To me,
important.
too.
Yeah, to the eyes. It's
To me.
important. All right, good. So,
All right.
all right, it'll be finished in about 30 minutes, and then we'll do the fun part, the sauce, which we'll be doing until midnight tonight.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
we'll do it.
Great. So we have a finished cheesecake as far as without the sauce, which we're going to make next. Here it
And
is.
that looks beautiful.
We managed to get a little brown even with the high side, so
I think that's
So,
beautiful.
yeah, you
Are you
just-
happy with that?
well, I'll be happier when I know what it tastes like. But
And it looks like it's pulled away from the sides. a
yeah,
little
so
bit.
that'll make it
Which isn't
unmolded,
that,
but
isn't that?
yeah, I think it looks better than in a pie plate.
Yeah, because
In a pie pan, yeah.
you'll be able to cut
So
it
we're
out.
gonna let this cool a bit, and then we're gonna open it up and take it out. But this you serve really room temperature.
Yeah, I think
The
so.
sauce will be warm, but it's really a room temperature type dish. You don't have to
You
serve
don't
it hot.
want to reheat it, no.
No. It comes out. It's actually probably has a little better flavor when it's not hot. So okay, that's
So you're gonna
done.
let
So
that
we're gonna make
cool?
the sauce now.
Okay,
That's the next step. I'm just gonna move this over here. Make room. First step with the sauce, and we'll be doing this in a few steps. We're gonna saute some shallots in a couple tablespoons.
so did you cut that kind of coarse, huh?
Yeah, just chopped shallots. Or you could use onion, yellow onion, sweet onion.
But isn't this going to give you a nicer color?
Well, it doesn't really matter because the hot sauce goes in.
Oh, okay, yeah. I would think
Yeah,
color
it
would be better.
becomes kind of a richy orangey color, the sauce.
Okay.
So we're gonna saute this until these are translucent. We add 4 ounces of wild mushrooms. We cook those until the liquid is gone from those, sweat them. And then we're going to add the rest of the goodies for our sauce for the cheesecake.
Okay,
We're gonna get these on the stove now.
all right.
I have to make room. We're thinking about our next steps here. So, we'll be back. So we have cooked our mushrooms and the shallots until they were dry. You want to get as much moisture out of them on a low flame. You just want to cook them until they don't release any more moisture. We've just added the first batch of the wet ingredients, which is 3 ounces of Worcestershire sauce, 3 ounces of Crystal hot sauce, and 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. Now this has to reduce by at least half, so which shouldn't take long. There's only about a 1/4 inch in there. So it's going to be, you just reduce it until it's syrupy, and then we're going to add the next liquid, which is heavy cream. But it's going to be a few minutes for this to reduce. I'm not going to boil it. I'm just going to let it.
Right, you don't want to use too hot of a
Well,
heat.
probably better not. I might scorch it. But we're just going to let it get
You
down.
can't walk away from this, can you?
It's best not to. In fact, this recipe for the sauce is different than the one we used in Savannah because I neglected to take the paper copy that I had of this recipe, so I actually looked it up online. I think we made enough sauce for like 80 cheesecakes when we were there because it was a different recipe. So
Follow this
this
one.
is more,
Yeah,
the one that I'm
follow
going to
this
give you. If you happen to look it up online, it called for like a whole cup
Yeah.
of this and a cup of that as far as,
And-
this is just a small, this is like, just
And this is
a few
available.
ounces.
This is available for them with the downloadables
Right,
recipe.
of course. I'm going to write it all out with the instructions. But we're just ready for that to reduce. Then we add cream and butter, and it's a finished product.
All right, and then that'll be
The sauce.
the big
and,
job is done, isn't it?
Yeah, so then we'll be able to sustain ourselves on cheesecake while we do the rest of the dinner.
Okay.
All right, but we'll be back when we add the cream. Then you'll see how it's going to look. So we have reduced our first wet ingredients by half. Or actually, the recipe says 3/4, so I think that's probably where we are. So I'm a rule breaker. I don't always follow the rules. I probably regret that sometimes, but here we go. We add this heavy cream, and then we reduce this by half. And then we add our butter last. And we say a prayer that it all stays
It's looking great.
that it all stays together.
Now you have this on a low heat.
I do. Very low. So this is gonna reduce by half. So again, yeah, it's gonna, it'll be even more syrupy when we get that.
Because you don't need that with this.
No, it's
You don't-
very powerful. This is a very powerful sauce.
Yeah, you just need a little.
The cheesecake is very subtle, which we've unmolded it, and it stayed together. The sides are
Looking really good.
high, and so it looks. I'm going to bring that up a little bit, the flame. So we're just going to get this reduced, and then we'll add our unsalted butter. It calls for unsalted butter due to the amount of Worcestershire sauce that we
Yeah, there's
added
salt in that, or there's salt in
in the crystal hot
crab.
sauce. So we'll see. It's getting there.
It's looking
It's
good.
getting there. So
It's a beautiful product.
it is, yeah, and it tastes delicious. So let's see how that goes. So we'll just a few more minutes. We'll add the butter, and then we'll call it a sauce.
Okay.
All right. Looks like we've just about there with the cream reduction. So the smell is wonderful. It's
It is.
a very intensely flavored sauce. So I'm going to add the butter, one piece at a time. It's 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter.
So you have to be very delicate with this. Huh?
Well,
You don't want it to
I
break.
think this sauce is prone to breaking.
We don't want that.
We don't want that. That's why you have to get all the liquid out of the mushrooms. So we'll get that piece of butter all melty. Looks like it's there. Yeah, I had Paula. I think she probably did about 2 sticks of butter into that last
Butter
sauce.
makes everything better.
So yeah, but I
It was
had
delicious. I could have had it for.
it turned out
I
pretty
think I had
darn
it for
good.
breakfast one day too.
I think you did. I think you got the only leftover peas. So, yeah, it's a really velvety sauce. In a perfect world, we would serve this, and we have in the past, for bigger parties, with the most beautiful snow crab claws as a garnish. And you heat them on the stove just with a little butter, and then you use that.
Such
It's a very beautiful garnish.
gorgeous.
However, I don't have a source for that here, and
We have to order them.
there's like way too many than we would need in a package at this moment. And
But when we were at Paula's, that we got
there was a great little seafood market very close to her house, and they
had
were
the
so accommodating. They were great, and they had these packaged crab claws, and they were tiny, but
they look great.
They look beautiful. But the snow crab claws are you would just need one. I mean, they're big,
Yeah, and it's gorgeous.
just one per slice. So all right, so far so good. The sauce prayer worked.
Okay. Now that's all holding together.
So our first course is basically ready to slice and plate. And then we're on to our entree. And we have the 3 vegetables. They're very simple. Basically, the vegetables, well, fairly simple. So we have a sauce.
Yay!
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to turn the heat off. Where we go. All right. Okay, it's a moment of truth. We're gonna
cut into this.
Of course, I'm already off, but that's okay. I'll just go right there. And then
It came out of the pie pan beautifully.
it did. Yeah, I think the springform pan works, and a tart pan would work. It may.
I think
I think the springform's best because it'll give you the height of tart, depending on the height of the tart pan. So we're gonna cut ourselves a few slices here. As I said, you'll discover it's very rich,
yeah, you don't.
so you don't need a ton. But we'll get one of these out
And for a
and
first,
show you how it
looks
looks.
beautiful.
So that's got some sauce.
You can see the crab. This
It's
delicious crab is poking out. It looks beautiful.
very intense.
I mean, this is
Flavor.
a special. This is a special dish for special
And it's
people.
just a tiny bit
Mhm.
of this manure sauce. It's intense. And then just a little sprinkle of parsley.
And what would really set it off is a nice big red crab claw.
Yeah, it's maybe not the prettiest appetizer,
Oh, I think it's a very
but it is
savory looking.
incredibly flavorful. That I can tell you. So I think Michael's going to want some while it's warm. So we're going to take a moment to have some.
This can be our lunch before they come.
Yeah.
So let's enjoy
We
this.
have plenty.
Okay.
Great.
We'll
That's
be
our
back.
first course. Now that we've completed our first course, the crab cheesecake and the sauce, we're going to start thinking about our entree, which is the pecan crusted chicken breast with Dijon cream sauce. The first step is making the pecans into something that will stick to the chicken. So we have just whatever I think we'll need for this, a cup and a half or 2 cups of pecans, and we're just going to put them in the food processor and make them into a not fine but medium coarse texture, so they'll stick. And then I'm going to clean this, pound it out to about maybe an even thickness, and we're going to just use 2 of their big chicken breasts for 4. So once I pound these out, I'll cut them in half, but we'll be back. First thing I got to do is make some noise with this thing and
All right,
make
I want to
the,
see that.
Okay, we're just going to pulse it, that way we can.
But I think
Control.
let's show them what you mean, what you want it to be.
Okay. Let's see, are we there yet? Maybe one more quick pulse. I think that's good. So this is about where we are. I think, can you see that? This should work. What I'm going to do, and I have not, here I go with these firsts again that hopefully won't go wrong. I'm going to add some panko to this, and I'm going to drizzle these with olive oil. I probably made and then they're going to go in the 400 degree oven. The first time I made these, probably 40 years ago, when I was a wee child. My friend, who actually went to French cooking school, made these. And she
Leslie
cooked
Granucci.
Leslie made them on she cooked them on the stove in oil. But a lot of the pecan, I'm not criticizing, but I noticed that the crust falls off. So I'm going to try to do it so that they are a beautiful color when they're done and the crust stays intact. So I'm going to put them on a baking sheet with parchment paper in the 400 degree oven for about 20 minutes with some panko, a little olive oil on top.
Don't you think the panko will help it stick?
It might help give it a little color, hopefully. But what I'm going to do, and originally the original recipe was just oil and Dijon mustard. You dredge the chicken breast in that and you put the pecans on. I'm going to use a couple eggs and mustard, then coat the chicken in that, and then put it in the pecans, then put it in the oven with olive oil on top. So hopefully it'll look nice and it'll stick. And then we'll
And tastes delicious.
Then we'll make the sauce, which is so simple you won't believe it, but it's delicious. Okay, we'll be back when we get these looking good. Well, we're going to, I got the chicken cleaned, chicken breasts, and I'm just going to pound them so we can get them a little more even.
They're big. They're big.
They are big. They'll cook evenly that way, and you can always have more. I mean, if you don't have enough out of a half.
Well, we also have ladies coming, so we don't want to have just huge man.
Right. I am
manly-
accused of making truck driver portions, so
Well, you've gotten really good about not doing
controlling
that.
myself. All right, so see how big that is? So we're just gonna cut this in half. So we're gonna make 2 servings out of the one breast.
Yeah, I think that's plenty.
Yeah, I think so. So, and it's fairly thin. I think it's thin enough, probably 3/4 of an inch. They look pretty even. But I have another one to do, but I'll go ahead and fix them up so you can kind of see. And I'll put them on the baking tray that I have lined with parchment here. I think I'm going to give these just the tiniest bit of salt, just tiny.
But
sprinkle.
if someone out there can't have salt, then
Yeah, you just don't do
it.
this part. But I could have put it in the dredge, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to put it right on the chicken breast. All right, so let's see how this goes. As I said, this is kind of a new thing with the egg and the mustard. It used to be just oil, and I actually took out some of the pecans because I had a lot. Probably too much. I
So
can always
it's
add
an
it.
egg batter with.
It's 2 eggs with a big old dollop of Dijon mustard.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let the excess drip, and we just plop it right in the pecans. And obviously, once you put a raw chicken breast in there, anything that you don't use is going to be thrown out.
Exactly.
So I took out
Yeah.
quite a bit,
Yeah.
and I can add it
You can add it
back in. Now, one recipe I saw for something similar said put it in a bag and shit. I'm not good with that. So the chicken falls apart and all that. So you end up with like 4 pieces by the time you vigorously shake it. So I've got to get 4 breasts out of this. So
I
that looks
think
pretty good.
That looks really good.
So I just want them to stick.
And they're sticking.
So we'll do this. I don't think it really matters which side is down. You just kind of glue it back together. And as I said, this is going in a 400-degree oven for maybe 20 minutes. You can check it with a thermometer to reach 165, or you could just cut a little piece and see how it looks.
Well,
So-
you can always just do the, as you do the poke it test.
Right.
Then you
Yes. So yeah, I'm not going to put these right in the oven because I want to go to the vegetables next. We're having green beans as mentioned, green beans, string beans, with bacon and a little bit of onion. I've already cleaned the green beans and boiled them for a few minutes, parboiled them, and they basically just get reheated in the bacon and
I think
the
you
onion.
chose just the right amount of pecans for 4.
Well, I might be short because I've still got one more to go, but I have extra. So,
Yeah.
but basically, as I said, you just waste it if you put it all in, and we're not about waste here.
No, we're not.
So we want that to stick. So we just kind of force it, and then pick it up, shake it lightly.
And that can sit there for a while.
Oh yeah, it can sit
Until
out
you're
for
ready.
20 minutes or so. I mean, I wouldn't leave it out here all afternoon in a sunbeam, but
Yeah.
but
It'll-
all right.
it'll
So I'm going to get the other one done, and then we'll be back, and we'll work on the sauce, which, as I said, is so simple, and the vegetables, and we'll be ready to
Put it
put it in the oven.
Okay.
It's time for the sauce. 2 ingredients: mustard and sour cream. I happen to love Dijon mustard, so I have a nice big amount. But it's totally to taste, and of course, how many you're serving. But you can put a big blob like that in.
So are you at right now about 50-50?
You should go a little heavier on the sour cream.
Okay.
Than the,
Depends on whether you.
I love the mustard flavor, so if you want it to be subtle, that's So,
And as you said, you do it to taste, so you
right, I am not even going to taste it because I
Tell
love
by
the
the color,
I
yeah.
love the color. So,
But you do this regularly, so you,
huh?
I mean, you do this so you can kind of tell. But
Yeah.
if
So
not,
that's
they
it.
should. They
That
should.
is the sauce.
Is that it?
That's it. And the way you heat it is in a double boiler, which I don't have, but we have makeshift. So you just want to bring this down to the middle. And pot, water, metal bowl.
That's it. Okay.
That's our double boiler. What we have on the stove is water boiling for the carrots that we're going to show in the next episode here. We have the green beans parboiled. I have a saute pan here with bacon. We chop a little onion to put in that. But yeah, we'll get the sauce warming. And it just softly heats. Stir it on occasion. And then we're ready. This is boiling, ready for the carrots, which I'm going to slice next. I peeled them. I'm going to show you how I slice them. Of course, you can slice them any way you want. We can just do that right now.
Let's do it.
I think you have to think about these things, how you want them to look. So I cut carrots typically the same way every time if I'm going to saute them. I worked in a restaurant that cut them into little, circles. But we're serving this with whole roasted little red potatoes.
So they're circles.
So I don't want the same shape every
No,
time.
that doesn't make a pretty
So
plate.
yeah, you don't want everything to be round. So get rid of the parts we're not going to use.
And color is important too, isn't it?
Well, I thought about, you always think about how things are going to look, because our original menu to serve with this chicken in Savannah was chicken with this creamy sauce, scalloped potatoes, which I love, but that's too much white, especially if you have a
But
white
it's not.
plate.
It's not appetizing.
No,
When you have
I could
everything
eat
that
a
the
scalloped
same,
potato every
right,
day
but
of
the
the
same
week.
color. It kind
Right,
of,
no, so that's why we opted for the red skin roasted potatoes. We're gonna just put them in the oven with the chicken and with some rosemary, maybe halfway through cooking. But yeah, we just make these into little
So you're doing it-
trapezoids.
you're
and just
doing-
roll them.
Right, you're just doing a little.
Yeah, there's a restaurant in Carmel that we go to for breakfast, and they remember their roast
yeah.
beef lunch, and they serve
That's right.
carrots like
And they're
this.
delicious.
And I thought, what an interesting shape. So, but the other place was like, they cut them in a food processor, which I understand, because you don't have all day. I mean, this takes a little more time than just running a carrot through a blade,
Right.
and you get that round. They were delicious, but
This looks good.
this
on a
looks
plate.
better with what we're doing. So, I mean, the end result is they'll taste the same, but it's about visuals. So we're having green beans, which we're serving whole. So that's enough.
And the chicken's in the oven now.
The chicken is not in the oven because
not,
I'm waiting.
okay.
I'm going to put the chicken and the potatoes in at the same time, which hopefully won't be a problem. As far as don't have to be multiple things, it affects the way things look. But just a little few carrots each. These are going to be stuck in the hot water now. Cook them till they're just fork tender, and then we're going to saute these with butter, brown sugar, raisins, and sherry.
Okay.
So that's it for now. We'll let these cook. The sauce, as this starts to heat, I don't think the water's boiling. We'll just keep a stir on this. And then we'll have warm, delicious, beautiful strong cream sauce.
Without a lot of
And the
stress.
green beans will be cooked in here. Back a little sooner because I thought, well, we'll just see potatoes. Little red potatoes with a glug of olive oil. Just gonna put them on a foil. I love this non-stick foil. Not that these are gonna stick to maybe this baking sheet, but I just love it because basically if it doesn't touch this, you can just throw it out. You don't have to clean it. So just potatoes with some olive oil, a little bit of salt because we're gonna add a little more at the end when we take them out.
And that's what makes potatoes
Yeah,
delicious.
the salt will stick even then. A little fresh ground pepper. And I am going to add some rosemary now, but as I said, we're going to add more probably almost before we take them out, because rosemary sometimes burn completely or cook completely and it has no flavor. So unless these things are marinating in this all afternoon, you're not going to pick up the flavor. So we're going to add just this, and then we'll add a little bit more, maybe even chopped toward the end. That way you'll pick up little bits of fresh rosemary flavor.
Which is delicious with this.
So this is going to
It looks
just
beautiful already.
go like that. And then we just roll them on this baking sheet.
And this is an easy, delicious.
Yes, very
recipe.
easy. And then we have a shape that will work. And we have a beautiful chicken. We have this. We have carrots in a shape and the green beans in another shape. And everything's a different color. So for the appeal, you eat food with your eyes first. Or perhaps you taste it with your eyes first.
Well, you maybe smell it first and then.
Yeah, well,
It all happens at the same time.
really?
Yeah.
That is, if you want to continue,
That's
then,
right.
then you eat.
Exactly.
All right, so that's ready for the oven. We're going to pop the chicken and these in at the same time. I'm going to put this on the upper part, chicken on the lower part. Fingers crossed that we have, they're basically done at the same time.
Mhm. Okay.
These halfway through, we'll
You'll test
move them
them.
around. No, we'll just
Oh,
move
you
them around.
roll-
on the-
roll them around?
Turn them over or just shake and roll them around a little bit.
Now, David, could they cut these in half?
You
if
can
they
cut
were-
them in anything you want. I just
Okay.
think that they look like breakfast potatoes then.
That's true.
And I don't know, they just stay nice and moist on the inside
That's
this
true.
way.
Mhm.
But if you chop them up too much, then they look like you should add onions and bell peppers
Right.
and have them with your scrambled eggs.
Okay, all right.
So that's my thought.
We'll get them in the oven. and
Okay.
We'll be back.
For our green beans, we're going to cook this is 2 slices of bacon. Good old Jimmy Dean or whatever, hickory bacon or whatever kind of bacon you like. Just cut into little pieces. And we're going to, that's a thing in America, bacon, green beans with bacon.
It's very
Yeah,
American.
and it's very American. Even if it's cooked in I've seen big pieces in school cafeterias when you were a kid, there's these green beans with big hunks of bacon in it, but we're not doing big hunks of bacon, we're doing
But
big.
they're nice size.
Yeah, this is not terribly fatty, so I'm not gonna worry about removing the fat. I think it's okay. I'm gonna add a little onion, which might soak up some of it. So we're just going to do this. And then when this onion is cooked, a little bit golden brown, we just put the green beans in.
And you've already blanched.
I blanched them so they're really cooked and they're really crisp.
So it's basically kind of reheating them.
Yeah, basically these will go in and then they'll be heated through and they'll be ready. So basically once this is cooked, you can put these in, put the lid on and they'll warm, but I'll keep the heat on for a minute. And then we'll see if they need salt. They may not. I mean, there's enough bacon, salt in the bacon. But it doesn't take long. And then the next vegetable, the potatoes are in the oven, of course. That's one of the easiest things besides this sauce we have. Here you'll see
Well,
it.
that sauce looks
It
like it
does,
doesn't look easy to me, but
Oh, it's so simple, but it's heating up.
Yes, it's looking
and it
good.
does actually thicken up a little bit as it loses a little
moisture.
moisture. Yeah, so it just becomes richer when it's warm. So this is coming along. So once this onion is done, we'll just put the beans in. That's done. The next step, we'll do the sherry carrots. So that's coming up
And you
next.
can just let this sit for a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, after this part's
I'm going to
done.
put the lid on, and then we
Okay.
just these won't. I mean, if you put them at the last minute, they really won't cook much more. They're just
Heat,
warming
okay.
through. And so you can just put a little heat on them right before you serve them. I mean, we serve these for 30 people sometimes at
Oh, yeah.
our events. I mean, that's a big pot of them, and they're typically usually still al dente when they get them. And even you can do it, but you just do this, and then this reheats them slightly.
Which this is a great concept if someone is having a lot of people for dinner, and
Yeah, you
it
just,
still has a great.
or you could
homemade-
take these basically right out of the hot water, pour this on them, stir them up, and
Sure, sure.
and you're good to go. But so this is almost ready.
This makes up for the cheesecake and easy.
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
that's quite involved. But and then also sometimes I add fresh thyme to this, close to the end. But I don't have any, and we have rosemary going on. We've got.
Yeah, we've got a
I
lot.
don't think we need it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then, but sometimes, yeah, the fresh thyme adds a nice flavor.
That looks beautiful.
All right, so
Okay,
I'm gonna
well,
just pop these in, and then we're good. Here we go.
oh yeah, that's such a pretty dish.
So that's it. I'm taking them off the heat.
And don't you sometimes put sliced almonds?
I haven't.
But-
I mean, people do. I mean,
I thought you
can.
did.
We try to eliminate things that people are
Nuts.
allergic
Okay,
to.
right. Yeah, that's right.
Even though we're having pecans galore.
Yeah.
But, no, I mean, I think the almonds can get limp. You know, if
Okay.
you could sprinkle them with toasted almonds on the top,
On the
that
top.
would be great.
Okay.
That's what I would do. But I'm going to put the lid on them and set them aside, and we'll do the carrots next. We'll use the same burner. So we're going to do the last vegetable. It's the third accompaniment on the plate, and we've already gotten the carrots parboiled, so they're fork tender. Not a lot. I didn't make a ton because there's just we have a lot.
Well, they're nice size
Yeah, and there's a lot of
themselves.
food, so just a few on a plate. So what we do is we put some butter, since it makes everything better, in this pan, and we're going to add some brown sugar to taste, and whatever you feel like. I always add a little bit of salt. It brings out the flavors. Just
That's
a
just
little
that's just a little dash.
pinch or two. And it melts the sugar a little.
Kind of caramelizes it slightly.
We'll just do this. Of course, I don't know how hot that is yet.
It's pretty good.
And yeah, this isn't. I need another one of these, but it's okay. We're gonna
It's
add some
being used.
sherry,
We'll deal
a
with
glug,
it.
and that's gonna make our sauce. I'm gonna let that thicken. Bring the heat up. Typically, I'll tip this pan if I had and we'll see if we can. Sometimes it will burn off. I don't know if there's much alcohol. Yeah, we have a little.
There you
There
go.
we go. We'll just burn
You're
off
stealing my act.
Yeah, really. We'll burn off the
I used to
alcohol.
do that in front of a crowd.
Oh, really? In the circus?
Yeah. Well, it was a circus.
Yeah, the restaurant business can be a circus. Talk about high stress. Yeah, so we're just going to let that do its thing, and then we're going to just pop these in. We're adding some raisins. If you don't like raisins, don't add them. I know when we were in Savannah, our hostess is not a fan, so
But you could put cranberries.
we use dried cranberries. But this is already pretty sweet, so but raisins are sweet too. So we're just going to let that thicken a little bit, but you'll find when I add this, there's a little moisture in here, so it'll liquefy again a little, and then you just let it reduce until you get to the
pretty much no liquid, no?
until they have a glaze that actually adheres.
So that already looks very pretty to me.
Yeah, so we just reduce that syrup and you don't have to worry about overcooking this really. The carrots are pretty crisp, so if they become a little more, easier on the tooth, then it's not a big deal. But yeah, so all we got to do is reduce that down to a syrup.
So very festive.
Yeah, so we have our colors, our green beans, our carrots, our potatoes are in the oven. Chicken, I should probably check on. It's coming along. I think it's looking good. So yeah,
Can we see the chicken? Oh yeah.
You can take a look. Yeah, I moved it down to the I moved it up. I switched with the potatoes.
Well, that's looking very.
So yeah,
gold
we have about
crispy.
15 minutes left, so I'm going to give it a thermometer.
Okay.
A few minutes.
All right, well, we'll be back, and I think,
Yeah.
won't we be plating it when we come back?
Yeah, see, we're already getting syrupy.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It just takes time, and the raisins plump up. But yeah, it's a nice little glaze on them.
And I love the shape, rather
Yes.
than just the normal
Yeah, just
round.
chunks.
Yeah.
I don't do baby carrots. I don't know why. I'm suspicious of
Well,
them.
when you get baby carrots, if you were going to get real baby carrots,
Well, yeah.
yeah, but
I mean,
from a garden, but not,
actually, just one.
No, they're-
I'd
they're-
rather start with a whole
they're
carrot.
faux baby carrots.
I'm always thinking of that cartoon, the Bugs Bunny cartoon, or one of those cartoons where they start with an entire log from a tree and it's laid down to a toothpick.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think those baby carrots might have started
Yeah,
out
they
as
might
a-
have been second
they're like,
carrots.
They're like pressed into a form. They're all the
Okay.
same size.
Well, we're going to come back in a
On that
bit
note-
to plate.
Now that these are coming out of the oven, we poured ourselves a glass of celebratory wine. Cheers.
Cheers.
And I think
But
that
we're right on schedule, so
Yeah, I
if,
think
if
we're
everything
good.
is
We're good.
prepared
We've got-
properly,
Everything that we're supposed to make is ready. So we have our chicken breasts. Potatoes are still in. I'm gonna leave those over for a second. So they came out pretty good. I mean, this one was a little tall, so we got a little more color. But
they look nice and crispy.
yeah. So what we do,
And it smells fantastic.
this is how my friend of years ago served this. I'm just gonna bring the plate over here. You just start with a little sauce. Here, I'll just put it on the plate. You can just go right there. This over here.
So the sauce looks great.
Well, the thing looks a mess, but
Well,
so you just put a dollop of this
on the bottom.
on the plate. So we're gonna do one plate, and that way you can get an idea of what to do. And I'm gonna take this one. I'll put it on top. Okay. And I'm gonna move this very hot thing out of the way over here. And I'll get the next hot thing out of the oven.
Normally I would be helping, but I can't do both.
Right. Nice and roasted. I'm gonna give these
And they
just
look beautiful.
a little dusting of salt. I did add just a little bit more rosemary a few minutes ago. So I need something to pick those up with. So we'll just do a few.
Maybe 3.
I think that's good. 3. And we got our cranberry relish, which you can see.
Which you can see it's turned. It becomes kind of gelatin
thickened
without,
up.
without
Yes,
any,
it's terrific.
no additives or anything, just natural.
And then we have our green beans, which look nice. As I said, whole is a good thing. They look beautiful and nice shape.
Nice and hot too.
Yes, so we're just
We
gonna
like our hot food hot,
Take
and
a-
cold food cold.
a little bit of this. Gotta get some of the goodies. Normally when we have people for dinner, we go ahead and plate the food. Our table is small, so we don't have, by the time you get all the dishes, it's past it, it's cold. So we just plate it for
Well,
them.
we also know how to do that, right?
Yes.
A lot of
And
people
then
don't.
carrots. Just do a little bit here. Add some raisins. Bring that in. It's a very lush plate. I think we should
And
add
they've worked all day, so they're hungry, so.
just a dollop of sauce across maybe one end of the chicken, like so. And there's nothing that finishes a plate like a little fresh green like that. And I think
that's ready.
dinner is served.
Okay, that looks
Yeah,
gorgeous.
just a little more. So we're ready.
And if they need more sauce, we've got our
We have
sauce
sauce,
boat.
we have more relish we can pass, we have a spot for it right there. And Paula will create your dessert for you next.
All right.
Miss
That's-
Paula's favorite chocolate mousse. So let's take this moment to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of our friends around the doll globe. And thank you for joining us tonight, and Happy New Year to everyone.
And David, don't you think it's important to part of the celebration of whatever your beliefs are is celebrating with food.
Absolutely.
And it's
It's nourishment for the body
yeah,
and the soul.
it's a wonderful way to say that you care about somebody.
Well, I think so.
Yeah. All right. Bye
All
bye.
right. Thanks for tuning in.
Okay, Paula, I see some chocolate in a double version of a double boiler.
Right, I don't have a double boiler, so I just
You make your own.
make my own. It's very simple. You get Toblerones, 2 of them. You can get the light or the dark.
So this is a Swiss chocolate.
Yes, and they're available anywhere, except in Savannah. You have to get them on Amazon.
Okay,
And you do a 1/4 cup of milk,
just regular milk.
regular milk, and you break them up in little pieces to
So
melt.
you use two of
2
those
bars.
This is one of your go-to recipes.
Yes, and everybody loves it. And you can make it ahead and put it in the refrigerator, and it's just fine.
So this is nice. It's basically portioned out for you.
Right. And then while it's melting in here, because it's hard to cut them up in your hand, you can just cut them up a little bit when they start to melt with the scissors.
Okay.
So while they're in there, we're gonna break a couple of
So
eggs.
they're starting
They're
to.
starting to melt. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
You do a couple of egg whites. I'm not a cook. I'm not a chef,
Oh,
so
you're a very good cook.
anyway, you know.
Well, I've had lots of your meals. You're a very good cook.
Not compared to David.
Well, I mean, you do a few thousand.
Yeah, then you
then
get
you
better.
can.
So, I think cut it off.
So you got your egg whites in
Yeah,
there.
egg
Mhm.
whites. And,
Meantime, this is doing pretty nice.
yeah, we might want to try to cut that up now a little bit to make it go faster.
So this you don't want this sitting cooking. You want it just melted.
I just want to melt it because you don't want to burn them.
Right.
You can't get rid of that taste.
Well, if that happens, we have to start again, don't we?
Well, we can't start again because it would take 2 days to get these from Amazon.
Well, then we have to.
We
Then we
have
have
to-
Plan B.
Yeah, but I love this, especially at Christmas. And it's light, it's very tasty, but it's a
And you can
light
do it.
dessert.
And if you're entertaining at home, anything you can do ahead
Yes.
is a big
It's a
deal.
big deal.
I mean, we love that part.
I mean, I have an old house which I love, and it's not open concept, and I would never want an open concept kitchen. I don't want people in my kitchen and talking to me while I'm cooking. I like to be in here.
Yeah.
So, but I do like to be in there too, so the more you can have done ahead, the better it is. So you just kind of keep stirring this a bit.
Yeah, we don't want it to burn. It's,
But it's not gonna because it's in the double boiler.
okay.
Okay, we can mix up the egg whites. We're gonna squeeze just a little lemon juice in there, just a little.
And that's from your own tree, isn't it?
It is.
It's kind of nice.
And then we'll whip it up. So,
Okay. Well, let's do it.
yeah,
And we don't put any sugar in it.
no sugar. There's enough sugar in the chocolate. So these have to stiffen pretty good, so I'm gonna turn it up.
So that looks really nice. So what's the next step here, Paula?
It's not, all
liquefied.
the lumps are out and it's, all those little bits are the almonds. So now I'm gonna just, it needs to come out of here and sit at room temperature. So I'm gonna put it right here on the marble. That'll keep it cool faster.
Okay.
And we'll just let it sit for a
Sit,
while
okay.
and then we're gonna fold it into the
egg
eggs
whites.
and
And those are looking, is that about the consistency you
They're
want?
about the consistency. We're gonna whip them up a little bit more
more
right
time.
before.
Okay.
So we're good for now.
All right, we'll let it cool, and again, this is something you just have to, you have to eyeball all this. So I think that those of you out there that are gonna do this recipe, maybe do a test run first. And
It's
unfortunately,
foolproof.
yeah, but unfortunately, then you'll have to eat it more than once, sorry. Okay, Paula, we're back, and the chocolate's cooled down. And so you're gonna, what are you gonna do here with your egg whites? Look pretty good.
Yeah, they look pretty stiff, but I'm just gonna give them a little more whirl. Okay.
So your recipe that we're doing will make 8, is that the plan?
It makes 4.
4.
But I'm gonna make 8 out of it because we're having such a rich dinner
That we're gonna do
that we're
petite.
just gonna
Okay.
do the 8.
Okay.
Or the 4.
4, okay.
There we go. Okay. So you've got your egg whites nice and stiff,
Okay,
and you've got your cooled down chocolate.
okay.
So that all needs to go in here.
Looks delish.
It does look delish, and it is delish. So
But you
then
know, you left some behind, are you sure?
well, I'm going to transfer it back in there because I
Okay.
need this for the whipping cream.
Okay.
I need this bowl.
Alright.
But that kind of, you don't want to stir it.
You just wanna fold it
You
in.
just want to fold it in. And you can make it so it's kind of marbly.
That would be kind of pretty. I
It
think.
is pretty, but we're just going to make it folded. So then it's going to go back in
Oh, I
here.
get it.
So that I can have the bowl that goes in the mixer to mix the cream.
So you folded this in fairly nicely, it looks good.
Okay, now we're going to pour one
So you just use the regular
regular
same
same
old
old
thing,
bowl.
don't have to clean it?
Don't have to clean it because it's all going in together anyway at the end. So we've got a cup of heavy whipping cream.
Heavy whipping cream.
And then that's going to be mixing up for a minute. Okay, now it's pretty stiff.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah,
Good enough to eat.
good enough to lick the bowl. Okay, so now we're going to just gently add this into the whipping cream. All that good
And that, you know,
chocolate.
for 4, that's a lot.
Yes,
so
so now it's 4 is going to be,
It'll be 8.
It'll be
And
8.
I think that's a nice
Right.
amount.
so. You just
So
do it very gently.
Yeah, you don't want to. Oh yeah, that's going to be delicious.
It's
Just
delicious.
tell.
And it's so easy, and it just takes 3 ingredients. The eggs, the milk, well, and
I
the,
mean, it's an hour process,
the
wouldn't you say?
whipping cream and
Yeah,
the Toblerone,
but
so
you
4
know,
ingredients.
you can't buy this at a store.
No, and it's so light.
And your you know, your guests are going to think you
Slaved
really-
away.
Yeah.
I never slave away on food. I like easy, but good.
Well, yeah. I think everybody likes that.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to be so exhausted from doing it that you need a week off.
Right.
So I think that's beautiful.
So that's beautiful. And then we're going to pour it into some little, I'm going to leave it set for a little while, and then it goes in the little cups.
Yeah, so you just let it,
Let
what, 10 minutes or 15 minutes?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we'll be
We'll
back.
be back.
Cheers. Here's
Cheers.
here's to the happiest holidays coming up.
Yes.
Merry
And many
Christmas.
more. Merry
Cheers.
Christmas all around.
And
Thank
God
you all for
bless
making the trip
everyone. It's a
terrific.
blessing.
Cheers.
Everyone.
Remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button.